So today I'm going to cover about the Authentic Wellbeing Toolkit. This is just stuff which I use for my own strategies, and I'll get into a story about why. So the agenda will be intro, statistics around mental health, my toolkit, my strategies, and project purpose as well. I just want to note that this is not a mental health training day. I'm not qualified in that aspect to it. Mine's more about looking in the moment now, looking in the forward projection on what you want to get out of life and goals, etc. But it's still a safe space to open up and talk, so anyone that wants to just raise your hand and feel free you want to open up, please do. It's based on my own experience, my own learning, my own journey. And if you have felt moved by this, it's important to go and speak to a BACP therapist, go and speak to someone who's qualified about this. Bit of background on myself, so I work for Iceberg Digital, so I'm a performance coach there, so basically help a couple of agents in the room here are my clients. I help you guys with digital transformation, dragging you from like 1980s to actually like the modern world today that the world works like, so getting you out of that old CRM stuff and moving into, a bit like Luke was saying about some of the stuff that he's done within his CRM. I'm a proud twin dad of 10 months, a qualified coach. I'm a member of the Association of Coaching and the Chartered Management Institute. I'm a former multi-award winning estate agent, so I used to be actually an estate agent myself for 10 years. I co-authored an Amazon bestseller that went into sales and marketing, sales techniques, number 1. 7-time marathon runner, soon to be 8 on this Sunday. And I host 3 podcast shows and I'm a mental health speaker. So I do a lot, but remove the mask. So from a young age, I struggled with panic attacks, crippling anxiety, and never felt accepted. And that was quite a real problematic time I went through, all the way through my teens into my early 20s, even into my early 30s. And some of the stuff that I accepted as a child, I took that into my development stages. So some of the stuff that I believed that was the way that the world works was based on just some of the stuff that people told me when I was young. So on the back of that, I've experienced suicide firsthand. I've had someone who I tried to revive, and they sadly not here today, which then led me into PTSD and alcohol dependency. In 2016, I was struggling with my own suicidal thoughts, and then at the same time, I lost my best friend to suicide. So this is Chris. Sunday is Chris's 7-year anniversary in passing. He was my best friend, and he had suffered depression and had been out of rehab for 10 years before he actually committed suicide. And I didn't know anything about that. I was his best friend, and at the same time, I was a successful estate agent. On socials, you thought I was living the best life, but I was thinking about killing myself. So in this period of time, 2 best friends, not talking about it, not opening up, both struggling. Chris doing what he did saved me. So since 2016, I've been on this journey with Fight Train, which I wear today, keeping his brand going, raising money for mental health charities, doing 7 running events I've done. I've done some other crazy stuff. Openly talking about men's mental health with a passion, with the tears in my eyes, going forward with it. So it's amazing, behind the mask, if you were to see Chris's socials, behind the mask, you wouldn't even think that happens. Like, he was a decorated world taekwondo champion, into his fitness, travelled a lot. I envied his life. I didn't know any of his struggles. So today, I want to talk to you a bit about mental health, but from a perspective of what can you do if you have got that little bit of a mask up, or if you've got people you know are struggling. So here's some stats. 1 in 4 people have suffered with mental health at any one point in their life, and 1 in 6 in your workplace. So just think about that for now. Like, how many people do you know in your life right now, and that 1 in 4? How many people are struggling? How many people you don't know about that? How many people in the 1 in 6 in your workplace? That starts to multiply, doesn't it? 12% of sickness in actually a workplace environment is actually based on mental health issues or problems. So people might call up for, I've got a sore stomach, I'm not feeling well today, I've got a headache. and actually it's underlining mental health issues that you might not necessarily know about. And actually the cost to an employee, so this is an important one, £1,300 per annum for anyone who has mental health problems in the workplace. From an employee's perspective, it's not actually helped with. Actually, it's a cost to the employer, £1,300 a month, £1,300 per annum. So it's quite a significant amount if you've got a workplace environment where it's high stress environments, people who are struggling. There is actually a financial loss to you as an employer as well. But for every £1 invested, there's a £5 return in what you invest into mental well-being amongst your staff. So going back to what you were saying, Luke, about your investment into your teams, training, development, getting them to find a purpose. For every £1 you invest, you will get £5 back. And this is because of lack of sickness, lack of staff leaving, lack of drive, motivation. So there is actually a financial gain with actually starting to look at well-being in a workplace environment. So when you lose your identity, you lose sight of your purpose. And a lot of people talk about purpose. Find your purpose. So that's all I hear. But someone can't do this purpose bit until they've found their identity bit. So this is a bit where you need to start working on helping people with their identity. Who are they and what makes them tick? What makes them feel alive? Because as soon as you lose that, and then that's where you start to have your mental health issues and problems. So, Jerry was saying, where are you, Jerry? It's about stress and anxiety. So simple facts on this is, stress and anxiety, stress tends to be from outside factors. So stuff that happens on the outside and you get in it. So whether that's financial stress, workload stress, etc. But also stress symptoms can come under what I was saying back about employment sickness, muscle pain, digestive problems, difficulty sleeping. So it doesn't necessarily have to come in a form of, I'm stressed. It does come in other forms of within your body. So it's important to manage stress, and long-term stress increase your cortisol levels, which then also stops almost the barrier within that stress part closing. So it opens up. So you're in this constant loop. And that's what leads to anxiety. And this is where you start to have struggles internally. So not external factors of stress causes, internal anxiety. From a neurological side to it, when this happens with anxiety, in the brain you actually have an anxiety loop. That until you go and see a counsellor or see someone about and actually work out what is actually your anxiety loop, that will still happen. So no matter whether you've got things to stop your anxiety, and the process is to alleviate that, you will still have that in the back of your mind as a constant loop. So if you're struggling with anxiety, go and see a counsellor, go and see someone, explore why you're feeling that way. But today I'm going to talk to you about my toolkit, stuff that I've learned, stuff I've come across, stuff I've found interesting, that I use on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis to maintain who I am and my identity. So, has anyone seen this before? Absolutely, I haven't. Yeah. So this is the mental health continuum model. So what Jerry was saying about anxiety. So this is actually, everyone has mental health. We all have to accept that. So you could be green, you could be yellow, you could be amber, or you could be red. So positive mental health, green. Cheerful, joyful, energetic, high performance, flowing. With the yellow and the green, I've got this little arrow underneath here. This is where you seek your tribe, your friends, your family, people you know, your work colleagues. So, with your teams, having something like this in place, in friends and family, open up conversations, rather than just saying, how you feeling today? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm like, what does okay mean? Like, if people are struggling, put that in front of them, say, where do you feel you sit within this? Are you red? You're amber? Are you green? It opens up conversations. So this part here is more to do with tribes, your professional help, your friends and family, your community. This one here starts to get into the danger zone. This is where, like, I was in 2016, I was red. But this is where you get professional help. This is where you get your therapist. This is where you don't feel like, I'm not ashamed to do this. Every therapist needs a therapist. So every therapist needs a deload. So this is where you have to start to look at, if people are in this zone, your community can't help you. Like, you need to seek, the community can push people into that, but you need to get professional help. Someone who knows, how is qualified in listening and understanding how to unlock why you're feeling this way and how you get back to green. So it's a continuum model. So I'm sure I'm more than happy to share the slides afterwards with anyone, but this is a great way. A lot of people I've spoken to since 2016 open up about mental health. The first thing I usually share to them is, where do you sit on the chart? And that gives me the confidence to understand my direction and where I need to take them. Do I have conversations with them, or do I try and push them towards someone who's more professionally qualified? Second one, jigsaw identity. I love this one. So this is what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel wholesome, and what's your passions and hobbies that you've actually lost. So if you think about your identity as a jigsaw piece puzzle, and each piece represents passions, hobbies, interests, things that make you feel alive. Like whether that's horse riding, running, walking, being by the sea, friends, family, work, but they all have to be even. So an exercise you could do is literally think about a jigsaw piece puzzle, getting an A4 piece of paper, writing down all these pieces in there that makes you feel alive, makes you feel like you've got your true identity and your true purpose. And then within that, you can come back to it as a reference. And your identity will always change. Like my identity's changed as a new father. I had to take that piece into it. 12 months ago, that wasn't a part of that. So you have to blend with your new identity and you have to understand it. So it's a checking-in model for this. Any one time you feel overwhelmed, go back to it and go like, what's my puzzles now? Oh my God, work's taking up 50% of my puzzles, so I'm not doing walking, I'm not doing running, I'm not going to the gym, I'm not seeing friends and family, I'm not doing the things that make me feel alive. And then you have to ask yourself, what's the steps I need to go back to get me back into even peace? So this is a nice one to work with on a monthly basis. I love this one, Baz Luhrmann. Does anyone know this song? Like, do one thing every day that scares you. Like, I can't emphasise enough. Like Chris and I in the crowd here, Chris has been doing cold water therapy. Him and I have been messaging each day, so each morning we're getting up, going in, jumping in a little pod, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why I do it, but it scares me every day. But I get out of it 2 minutes later and I feel buzzing, doesn't it? It's like having 10 coffees, you said, didn't it? So just think about this, like every day you're going to come across something that it's going to scare you. Just go and do it. It makes you feel alive. This is where you grow. So if you've got something in front of you and you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do this, come back to that phrase and go, do one thing every day that scares me. So another part, the triangle of flow. This is something that I really, really love and I always speak to a lot of people about. So think of your life as a triangle. Your identity, your family and your work. Who are you as your identity? Your family, your friends' family, people who you know, and your work. We all know, everyone has work, don't they? At any one point, you can't focus on all three at 100%, otherwise you'll burn out. And we've all experienced probably burnout in a lifetime, and if you start to look back at it, you're trying to burn out work, family, friends, commitments, who you are as a person, your personal goals. So the way I've worked it is that you can only do 2 at any one time. So these are where you have conversations with your friends, your family and your work. So at the moment, I'll give you my personal story. My family, my mum had a stroke 5 months ago. She's in critical recovery at the moment. She's trying to learn to walk again. I'm a newborn dad of twins. So my family life is crazy at the moment. My partner's just gone back to work today. It's like first few days back at work, part-time. My work, I'm developing a platform. I've got loads of stuff going on. And that's ingrained within that. Even things like today, coming here and presenting today. And my identity, I'm running a marathon in Sunday and I've decided to stupidly do it within 56 days of training, thinking I could try and do it. And I've done other stupid, crazy stuff like that in the past. So if you try and do it all in one go, you're going to be overwhelmed, you're going to burn out. So the conversations I have with either my partner Kel, my family, my work environments, myself, most importantly, we speak to ourselves, is working out, okay, what do I need to just step back on out of this triangle as I'm flowing into the other two? So if work's crazy and you've got loads going in your family, you're going to have to take a step back in yourself. You've got to stop being selfish. Just take a step back, knowing that you're going to have the conversation with your work or your family and say, look, hey guys, it's been a month now, I've done this, we've pushed it through, but I need some time to myself. And that's where you recharge. That's when you start to then recharge and then you go back into your identity in your work, your work into your family life, and you become a better human being. So this is something I use on like a monthly basis. Looking at going, right, if I'm overwhelmed, where's my flow going? So does anyone know about the wheel of life? Anyone come across this? Put your hands up, just so I know. So the wheel of life, for anyone who doesn't know, say if you had this as your each line and it lined up with all of this. So partner, love, family, friends, community, environment, fun and recreational, health and fitness, career, work, money and finances. You can find these online, loads of them. But sit down with yourself in front of one of these and honestly ask yourself, out of 1 to 10, where you sit in each one of these. So if you're 5, you'd be hitting here. If you're 7, hitting here, so on and so forth. And then join them up. And then start to look at yourself like, what's missing in my life? What's missing in my wheel of life? Anything below a 7, you need to start looking at. You need to start looking at what you need to do to get up to a 7. 8 and 9 is quite nice, free flowing. But the ultimate thing is like a wheel. You know, if you've got crap with your finances, but you're loving fun, recreational, that's a 10 because you're blowing all your money on your finances. Like the wheel's not going to go around, isn't it? It's going to get stuck. So this is a great one for your personal side. This is again something you look at on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. But bring this into your teams. This is a great one. I've said to a lot of my clients have done. Like your one-to-ones. Bring the wheel of life into one-to-ones with your teams. Sit down with them. Ask them to do this. Where they sit with that. Within that part, what you do within that is that you start to have interesting conversations with them rather than just KPIs about why have you not booked this and why have you not booked that. These are the conversations that your team will start to think, genuinely, they actually care about me. But also, if they're not performing, you'll soon realise why they might not be performing, because it might be outside work. It might be certain things, it might be their finances, it might be they haven't done any fun recreation because they're working too hard. And you go, right, okay guys, what should I do? Like, do you want a half day off and go and do what you need to do? Get you back up to that performance level. So, question to the room. Who speaks to themselves? Yeah, put your hands up. And anyone who doesn't, you're a fucking liar. Because what I've just done is I've asked you a question, you've thought about it in your head, and you say, I'm not going to respond to that. So you think to yourself. So everyone speaks to themselves. So you have your villain and your champion. I name my champions and name my villains. I do this for my running. So I have Reggie and Rocky. Reggie's my inner bitch. That says to me, I can't get up this hill. You're useless, Rob. You can't do this. You can't get in that cold water therapy. And Rocky comes out and knocks him out and says, no, you fucking can do this because I've seen him do this before. By naming them, you make it a little bit more interesting, a bit more characteristic. So it departs from your brain thinking that actually what I think is who I am. So think of your villain and think of your champion. Next time you're in those struggling positions, go, oh, it's my villain out today. Where's my champion? And I do this on hills. And I look crazy, I'm not going to deny it. I run up hills and I've been shouting to myself. People might think, oh my God, that guy is just shouting again. I've driven past for a few days. But it gets me up those hills when I'm running. So it runs on to the last few things. The cookie jar. What is your cookie jar? So what are your past achievements and what's been your adversity? So fill up your cookie jar. So anything you've ever done that's been successful, but anything you've ever gone through that's been a massive struggle. Financial problems, death, loss of things, like things that you never thought you'd ever get through. Like the day that it happens, you think, oh my God, how am I ever going to survive in life with this? And you get through. Fill up your cookie jar. And then when your villain comes out, the champion comes out with his cookie jar and says, hey, you can get up this hill. You've done this before. You've done it loads of times. So at any time you're struggling and self-doubt creeps in, think about your cookie jar. Think, okay, right, what's been worse situation than this now? Yeah, I've got through this. I've got this. Now I hope you go through. So the last few things I'll talk about. So zone states. This is a great one I've learnt recently. So zone states tend to be for my running. So like I run at a zone state 2 if I'm going to go for a long run, because you basically can't run like Usain Bolt doing a marathon because I'd die within about a mile. So I run on zones. So I run at a zone 2 if I'm going to go for a long run, and then if I'm going to try and do a sprint around the block, I try and do zone 4 or 5. But you can relate this back into your own life as well. Like if you start to sit down on a Monday morning or any one day or any one week and go, okay, what's coming up this week? What are the zones? Like, is it going to be hell this week? I've got loads of zone 5s. How am I going to tackle them? What do I need to put in place? And this starts to do preventive measures in place. You don't just walk into your day thinking, oh shit, I forgot about that zone 5. You've already thought about it. And you've already thought about how you're going to tackle it and take it on. At any one time as well, you can do what you call taking the knee. So if you're all walking about your day and you're like a zone 2 and you're like, oh, this is great, and all of a sudden a zone 5 hits in your face, like, rather than reacting to it straight away, take the knee, take a step back, reassess the situation. What is a zone 5? Why has it happened? What do I need to do to assess it? And then you can then start to work out tackling it rather than just jumping full hell for leather and actually it's screwing you up with more, and then you get into stress state. And this comes onto the morning meeting. So we all have morning meetings as agents. I mean, I don't have one anymore, but we all sit down with our teams and talk about what's happened in the day. But every morning, whatever time you get up, go and stand in front of the mirror. Have your own morning meeting. Like, what's happened with my day? Like, what's going to happen? What's my zones? Oh shit, I've got that landlord that's going to come in and he's going to have a go at me because we screwed up on that thing. So that's a zone 5 today. So what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? So your morning meeting is almost you just starting to assess what's going to happen in that meeting, so you don't walk blindly into that day and then all of a sudden the stress starts to kick through. So probably finish on this last one. The word fine. Fucking incapable of naming emotion. Stop using the word fine. Ban it in your office. So when people say to you, I'm fine, say, give me another word. Give me another number. Give me a number or give me a word. I want a word that's different to fine. Or, out of a scale of 1 to 10, what's your fine today? Is it 7? Is it 8? Is it 5? Or 4? Because fine could be, I'm fine on 3. I'm shit, but I'm fine. Or it could be, I'm fine on 9, and I'm great. To ban that, and also okay. Just ban those 2 in the office, and start to have conversations with your team about this. And I like to finish it on becoming the person you deserve to be. So, again, since 2016, I've been going through this process of understanding my own mental health and helping others out there, and ultimately sit down each day in the evenings and start to look at, are you becoming the person you deserve to be? And what can you do to change that? So obviously, as I spoke about some stuff around mental health, here's a nice thing to take a picture of. This gives you loads of different chat groups as well. I've just done it simple. None of the opening hours, all sorts of stuff like that. They're pretty much similar. There's even some chat services and some text ones as well. So if you ever have anyone that's struggling, save it, send it out to people. I can share that slide afterwards. Project Purpose is a concept which you guys, thank you actually, for Jerry inviting me today. Jerry's donated towards it, so it's on behalf of you guys as well. Project Purpose is a concept of thriving together as a community. So as we've gone for that mental health continuum model, green people who have got good mental health, raising funds for people who need it in the reds and ambers. So as we reach £1,000, we start to distribute out to smaller mental health charities. Anyone like to know anything more about that, feel free to get in touch. But thanks.